So just tell us a little bit about where you came from and how you found Family First Life.
Sure. My husband's a pastor of a pretty large church, and we've been married 31 years. And I have, ever since our girls got in school, I started working at the church full time. And I'm one of the weirdo nerd people that I really love numbers, and it's one of the things I'm kind of good at. So it's ended up that for, I don't know, about maybe 25 years probably, I've run the business offices for the churches where we've been, and we also have a very large academy that we have now. And I've got a staff that has worked with me for a while. So that's what I've been doing. So, but I've always had, I was just telling my team a little bit ago that I've always had this little spark inside me from my early to mid 20s that there was something more that I wanted to do. So of course we raised the kids and got through that time of our lives. And then I have to tell you, Wayne, it just kind of caught on fire. And I was very determined to find what it was for me to do. And I originally thought it maybe would be something I would do on the weekends or at night, or just something from a little home office. And I had a couple things that were in the works a little over a year ago. And my son-in-law is Joe Basso. He's a businessman, and he's an awesome. Did you know that, Wayne?
I did not know that. It all makes sense now.
Yes, so he's the lucky guy. He's got an awesome wife because my daughter's amazing. Anyway, but I've been talking to him for several years. If you come across anything that I could do, to help us out, for retirement, and just something for that little bit of business spark in me. So we've talked about different things over the years, but about a year and a half ago now, he said, I won't go into the whole thing, but anyway, he told me about Family First Life, and he was at the very beginning stages at that point. And so yeah. I was his guinea pig coming in. So I did this part-time on the end of the week. My job that I had, I've always been able to set my own hours. So for the last, I guess it's been a year now, but for 11 months, I did both things. My full-time job that I had, and I said I did this part-time, but I was addressing it and approaching it as if it were full-time. So this past September, was my first day to be full-time. So we were able to get some replacements for my other job. And so anyway, I'm about 6 weeks in being full-time. So that's probably more than you wanted to know, but that's how I got here.
No, that's great. And I think you all, courtesy of Joe Basso and Craig and that whole team over there have taken, because we've always had power couples here and there, but you took the entire family and just moved everybody to FFL, yes. Which is nuts when you think about it, but also a testament to how great this opportunity is and what it can do just by sharing it. So I agree with that business background that you had, I guess walk us through what that adjustment was like, going from what you were doing before to insurance, and how some of those skills kind of helped you make that transition, or helped you accomplish what you've accomplished since you've been here.
Well, I think God just made me with a little bit of an aptitude toward understanding numbers, for one thing. And my husband and I have also worked really hard to just educate ourselves on investment products, retirement products, ourselves. So insurance, it just made sense to me. So when I don't know that it was a hard jump for me as much as it was, this is maybe something that I needed to really focus in and hone in on this skill, because honestly, it's such a great, we've always carried insurance, but for me now, I have such a much broader understanding of the effect of it. It's not just something that there's a check when somebody dies. It really truly is part of a whole life protection package. So anyway, but I do think, just because I'm a weirdo numbers person, that, it was an easy transition for me in that regard.
So talk to me about that, because I'm a numbers person too, career in banking before insurance. And then when I came here, I tried to take the logical approach, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But you also said something about the family and making it about protecting people. Talk to us about what that means to you and how that comes across in the house when you're sitting across from a family, presenting to them or figuring out how to provide a solution for them.
My whole life, I know I don't know all of you on a personal level at all, but my whole life, family has been everything to me. My family, of course, my daughter who's married to Joe, super close on that side, but I've got my own family too. And family is everything, not my husband, my kids, extended family. And everything in life goes through that filter first for me. Wayne, how does it affect my family? Does it protect my family? Does it hurt my family? Does it enhance what we're trying to build as a family, a whole family unit? When we were early married, my husband came home one day and said, by the way, so-and-so is coming over tomorrow and we're going to sign papers for life insurance. And we were in our early 20s, just getting started in life. And I'm thinking, how in the world are we going to make insurance premium payments? But we sat down and we talked about it. And so Wayne, ever since then, I remember as just a young wife, when we were just starting our little family, the security it gave me, knowing that if anything were to happen to my husband, I would still be able to raise our kids. We would still have a house to live in. We'd be able to not lose everything. And so that was the beginning. Of course, my parents had insurance, but for us as adults, caring for that ourselves. But when I'm in a home, I really always mentally try to step into their shoes and what is their need? And if something were to happen to the man or to the lady or to, if it's a parent who's got an adult child living with them, whatever that, you all know, every home is different. The dynamics in the family unit is different. I just try to step into that and see where's the miss, where's the void, what can we do to make that, I don't know, in my mind, I just kind of picture this bubble around everybody to give a little bit more protection, because life and death are real. They're going to happen. But if we can insulate and protect a little bit or a lot, depending on what they're able to do, that's just kind of some of my perspective when I'm meeting with them.
Mm-hmm. So when you're meeting with them, what are some of the questions that you ask to make sure that you're really developing a need for the insurance, developing a why, and making sure that they understand that this is necessary, because it is in almost every family that we sit down with. So what are some of the questions that you're asking and some of the things that you make sure that you uncover, that you expose them to, that they may not be thinking about?
Yeah, as soon as I get in, of course, I give them my business card and show them my state license so they know that I am legitimate. Then I immediately tell them I'm not here to push something on them. I don't have a predetermined thing that we're going to do. My job is to find out what they're looking for, who they're trying to protect, what they're trying to protect. And then I'm going to get on their page and we're going to work together. And I'm not going to get out in the weeds somewhere from what they're trying to do. And then I tell them, I want to hear from both of you. And it's not uncommon, especially when we're doing final expense, that we have an adult child that's sitting there too. And I tell them, I want to hear from all of you to make sure you all are on the same page. And I'm working with you. Then I actually sit back and I ask all of them to tell me what they're looking for. And then of course, whatever they say, as I make sure I repeat it back to them, have them confirm with me that I heard what they said. And then obviously, as I go through and completely exhaust that financial inventory, and I'm getting a good picture of the separate incomes and how that looks upon either spouse passing away, it allows us to dig into that. And I say, Bill, if you pass away, what's that look like for your wife? And I ask those questions to them, and I do, and it gets a little uncomfortable sometimes, especially when maybe someone's a little more tender about it, a little more emotional, and there are tears. But I don't try to get people to cry, but when that happens, someone tears up, you found the spot. This is where the need is. And it helps us to know. And I remember when I was doing all the training, going through, what I was doing to prepare myself a year ago, trainers saying, oh, now I know why I'm here. But when that happens, I now know why I'm here. And everybody, you have different personalities. And Ivan, I think last week at the training, wherever we were in New Jersey, you had talked about different types of clients. That really resonated with me, that some people are just, they're emotional. Some people are very more pragmatic. It's some people more about the cost. You've got to be perceptive and listen to them. And don't be afraid. I'm not afraid to dig in and ask questions. And what does that look like? And I'm not rude about it, of course, and I don't go too far, but for them to look in the mirror and see what that's going to look like.
Yeah, I think, man, one of the things that new agents, I think, struggle with is being so focused on gathering the information that they're not actually listening to what the people are telling them. And as a result, they miss that why. And they miss the thing that and you said it, and it gets uncomfortable, and it's in that moment that it gets uncomfortable, that you know that you're there, that it's a family that gets it on some level, and that it's somebody that you're going to be able to help from that moment on. And then one of the other things that go ahead.
I was just thinking about this, back to what our lives, my husband and I, he as a pastor, we deal with funerals all the time, and I don't know if there's anything harder that my husband has to deal with. And of course, I'm part of it, because these are people I know and love. When there's a funeral and there's no life insurance, they have to borrow money just for the funeral expenses. And then you've got this spouse who's left. And what are we supposed to do? And you can't fix that for people, and so it's very real. And one of my life sayings is, people aren't plastic, they're real. And listening to them, and they're real people, like the people we talk to on the phones, they're real, and trying to find out what the need is.
Yeah, I like that. People aren't plastic. You're definitely stealing that. Absolutely. So I know that you have a lot going on, family, and as a wife of a pastor, I kind of know what those responsibilities are as well, growing up in the church. How do you, because most people don't have those things. So I want to hear how you balance it all, how you stay in front of what you need to stay in front of, trainings, your clients, and get those things done. And maybe it'll help other people realize that it's not as complicated as they're making it out to be.
That's a great question. That's the ever challenging pursuit of the elusive balance of life. And I am getting pretty close to saying that it's stop chasing it. Whatever you're doing and whatever the moment is, make sure it's the right thing in that moment and do it 100%. When I'm at church and I'm doing things at church and I'm serving, and I'm very involved in ministry at our church, I'm not being rude, but I'm not thinking about family first life then. That's what I'm doing right then. And if I'm with my family, I'm with my family. But when I'm working, I am working. I am focused, and whatever I don't know, but it is a discipline. It is a huge discipline. Everybody talks about leaving your personal life in the car when you're walking up to a door, but it's like that with whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter what that is. Just, I don't know. It's a mental discipline, and you got to be tough on yourself and not let yourself have excuses.
Man,
I don't know.
Who's got the chips?
Wayne, I'm tough on myself. I I tell my team all the time.
I mean, a lot of people let themselves off the hook. So it's
yeah. End of the day, I compete against myself, and I look in the mirror. I am my competition, and I am painfully honest with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't always like what I have to say back to me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And some people don't like to listen to themselves because they can't be honest with themselves, or they're
That's
too
right.
honest with themselves and they don't want to
Right.
hear it.
Mm-hmm. It's very
That's great.
true.
And I love you said, because there's a saying that says tomorrow is a figment of your imagination. The past is the past. You can't change it. The present is a gift.
That's right.
And that's why it's called the present. So being in that moment, I love when people tell me that they're an expert multitasker. Like, you're lying to yourself, because you can't something's suffering. You can't be doing two things at once. It's just not possible.
Yeah. I think there is a muscle memory. The longer you do something, the better you get at it. But
Yeah.
to perform at peak level, you've got to be focused.
Yeah. Now you said you tell your team all the time. I didn't know that you were building. I just assumed that everything else you have going on, that how could you possibly have time to build an agency too? Tell me what's that look like for you? How do you find people outside of your family, of course, because we already know that you all recruit in the family. How else do you find people to Family First Life? Like, what does that look like? How are you presenting it? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. I've had a full-time recruiter, Wayne, since the 1st of June. So
Okay.
I've got a recruiter.
While you were part-time, you had a full-time recruiter.
I did. Now that
Okay.
was a juggle. I'm not going to lie. That was a lot of, but yes, I've had a full-time recruiter. I think I have right now, well, I do know this. In the month of September, I had 11 agents that actually wrote business. So I am just at the very beginning stages, but I've got about that many more that I think will get active, in the next 2-3 weeks. It's the pipeline. It takes a while to get it going.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So how are you managing that, the recruiting aspect of things? What does that look like for you? So you have a full-time recruiter. When they come in, who's talking to them? What's that look like?
Yeah, they actually, because with Joe, he's got an office where my recruiter actually works remotely from where I am. So everything is, we talk on the phone all the time, but everything goes onto a Google sheet that the information she gathers for me, she gets them enrolled in the course, the licensing course, and then I take it from there. So I have that initial call with them. And I'm always on the phone in the car. I mean, between appointments, that it's whenever you can,
That underutilized windshield time that everybody takes advantage of.
That's right. And I am a very organized person, Wayne, which I think you will relate with. I think it goes with being a number person, everything is lined up. That's something that I have had to make a big shift on, that this business is a little messy for a type A person. And I've just had to make peace with that. It's just, it's not all lined up on a spreadsheet.
Sure. That's good stuff. I mean, you do a lot in the short time you've been here. So what's it look like for you? What's the goal for you? Obviously, you're building an agency now. You see this. You went from looking for just something to do to occupy your time part-time as a mother, wife, and a servant of the church to I'm still doing all those things, but now I'm building an agency. So what's your goal here? What's this look like for you?
My goal is an integrity partnership, Wayne.
Okay.
That's my goal. I know I'm at the beginning stages, but I think the path is pretty clearly laid out.
Atkinson Lewis.
Yep.
Give me 1 second. I can take care of that. Go ahead.
So that's my goal. That's the goal. So I'm working on it. So I've got some pretty.
So for those of the people that don't know, tell us why that's the goal and why you think that the path is pretty well laid out.
Okay. I think when you buy all in this opportunity and make a commitment, I'm going to do this. I think in my perspective, there were two options. I can either just go earn at a high level and invest in me over and over and over and over and over, and just be me. Don't worry about recruiting. And that's a great option. And building is probably not for everybody. Or I could pour everything back into my business. And my goal is just something I think that is a greater long-term yield than just earning at a high level and holding on to it. So that's why for me, Wayne. And then as far as the path being laid out, there are people that are getting to it in these integrity partnerships in a very short period of time. And as I observe them, we have conversations, I listen to these people on trainings. It's a lot of hard work. I think every person is an incredibly humble person. They're teachable. And over they say, we did whatever our process was until it didn't work anymore. And then we switched it to something else. And I think those are great traits to learn from. And I don't know how long it's going to take me to get there, but I am sure between now and then, I'm going to have to learn a boatload of new things, just different systems. And for me to manage it's a lot more people as you build, and I have to grow. But we've seen those people in front of us do that. And they're so helpful, to reach back and to help teach us what to do.
So you're not shy about reaching out to people in the company when you see something?
I don't know, Wayne, that I reach out to them so much as I just listen to everything they say on podcasts. And because I was part-time, I didn't honestly feel like it was, I don't know, this was self-imposed, I'm sure. I didn't want to bug people when I wasn't full-time, just to be honest.
Yeah. And it's crazy. And it's funny that you say that, because everything's out there. Everything's recorded. If you want to find it, then it's not hard to find. None of it's tucked away. None of it's password protected.
Right.
So it's really up to you. And if you want it, it's there for you to kind of take.
Right.
No, that's good stuff. I'm going to open it up to questions. I think that I've asked enough, and you've given so much. If you have a few minutes, any questions that the people have for you? I don't have to mute out because I won't say anything. But anybody that has questions, just mute out and fire away.
Caryn, I do have a question. Do you have any tips or tricks for someone? You said you dig pretty deep into the emotions of why they want the coverage. What do you do when someone's resisting that?
Leah, is it Leah? Is that right, Leah?
Yeah.
Leah, I have found just a couple months ago, I made a tweak on my in-home presentation, and like I said, I showed them my credentials, and I actually use my national agent ID number as my confirmation code when I'm setting the appointment. And I tell them, have me provide that when I arrive, just so you know the right person's coming into your home. So Leah, even some of those things on the phone are giving me credibility to them. At least I feel like it does. So they're already a little bit connected to me. And then when I sit down, I give them my business card. Now, right now I've got a website. I just got my logo. It looks official. And I have a small little office here. I've got an office address. I didn't have that starting out, but even just giving someone a business card gives me a little bit of elevated credibility. And then when I stop, Leah, and tell them, I'm not here with my own agenda, I'm here to serve you, I feel like I see in their eyes that there's a relaxing, like, oh, she's not here trying to sell me. I'm really there to help them get what they're looking for. Like, even in the toughest dude that's sitting there all muscled up, leaning across the table at me, when I say that to him, his face relaxes and some of the tension goes out of his face. And I physically posture myself that I'm leaning on the table when I'm saying that. Then when I tell them, I would like to hear what you have to say about this, I lean back. And I don't know. I don't know what there is about that. Wayne's laughing at me, but I am not a seasoned salesperson, but it doesn't take a, I always try to put myself in their shoes. If people come to my house, try to sell me something and treat me like that, they're going to make me mad and I'm going to tell them, get out of my house. So I try to always I try to be them. So I don't know if that helps a little bit, Leah. And some people are just going to be hard to get along with. You know, you can't, you know, they're going to be what they're going to be.
Yeah, I think we all run into the people who just are, you know, the tire kickers, but it would be nice to hear. It is nice to hear other people's perspectives on it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. Is there anything you particularly say as a usual that helps you have less chargebacks? I'm not sure what your rate is, but just anything that you've noticed really helps kind of almost ensure in a sense that it's a good close.
Sure. Well, I would say, first of all, we've got to make peace with chargebacks are part of this business, just plan for them. And secondly, the more activity you put in, the more policies you're going to submit, you're going to have more chargebacks because you're working harder. Okay, so expect that. But as far as trying to reduce them, I have learned to make sure that the premium we settle on works in their budget, and they probably get tired of me making sure. Are you sure this is going to work? I actually ask them 4 times before I even will start the application. And I say things like, now, if you have to get a new refrigerator, are you going to be able to still make this payment every month? And I say things like that because I hate chargebacks. I would rather submit a smaller premium than get a chargeback. And I tell my clients, I'm going to touch base with you annually. And if you want to push this up, then we can take care of that then. But for now, let's make sure we get something that works in the budget.
I think the other thing, just to answer the question directly, I think if you stay between like 5 and 10%, it's pretty safe that they can afford it, in addition with checking with them. But I think if you're listening to Caryn and the passion that she speaks with, I don't think it changes when she's in the house, and the care and consideration that she approaches the process with overall all contributes to her minimizing chargebacks. The little things like developing the why, because when value exceeds price, people buy, a la Matt Smith. So the amount of value that she's creating throughout and the levels that she's going to with the questions that she's asking and making it apparent that this is something that's needed, that it's not optional, all contribute to her minimizing chargebacks. And I think if you're doing that and putting yourself in the family's shoes and making sure that it's something that they need, as opposed to you selling them insurance, then the chargebacks will come in at a far less rate.
I agree with that. And you're going to run into some people. Wayne, yesterday I actually had a client that they straight up told me, no, I don't care if I leave her enough to live on. We want to make sure we can go out to eat 3 times a week.
Yeah, you can't help stupid. Sorry, I know it goes against what everything the church.
I'm like, okay, give me a call if you change your mind.
100%. 100%. What other questions you folks have? Fair enough. Well, Caryn, I appreciate your time. I know you have a ton to do to get back to. So
Hey, Wayne, I'm going
you
to cut you off right there.
All right.
Jesse. Hey, guys, how we doing?
Doing well, Jesse. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Hey, Caryn, great presentation, great speech, man. It's powerful. It's awesome, and you know the commonality that everybody shares when they're on the phone, when they're in home. It's crazy. All different walks of life. But my question is, being that you dig as much as you do, how long are you in home, start to finish?
I am not the fastest person. No, I don't take forever. If it is a single person, 1 hour.
Okay.
If it's a couple, it's closer to about 1 hour and 20 minutes. I'm trying to get faster,
Yeah, as am I.
but I'm not the turbo speed person yet. I'm working on it. So I don't know, maybe Wayne can give us some tips on that.
No, that's actually pretty normal. I mean, my final expense appointment is 30, 45 minutes. My typical mortgage appointment, if they're single, is about an hour. If it's a couple, about an hour and a half. So you're right on par. I think when you try to condense it less than that, it turns into a transaction as opposed to you helping the family. And then I think one of the things that'll help you is identifying earlier on the people that are serious about protecting their family and the tire kickers, and leaving the tire kickers, just letting them go about their business and going on to the next family. You'll buy your time back that way.
Right, I agree with that.
Good
It
stuff.
makes me feel
Thank you.
better that my timing's better.
No, it's spot on. Spot on. Good deal. Well, Caryn, I'll let you get back to your many hats. I don't think I've ever interviewed anybody that wears more hats than you do. So I thoroughly appreciate your time and the insight that you provided from all the different backgrounds that you have. It's almost like we had 5 different people on the call today.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate all you guys do to support all of us that are in front of where I am. I know that I could not have had the success I have without the content that people like yourselves and Ivan and so many others put out, and all the support and all of the giving back to the people who are behind. It's a real encouragement and a blessing and a catalyst, and it puts a belief system in the rest of us.
So, as if that wasn't enough, parting shots to somebody that may be on this call for the first time, or somebody that may be part-time thinking about going full-time. What advice would you give those people as they look at the path ahead of them?
To clarify, someone who's part-time looking to go full-time?
Somebody who's part-time looking to go full-time, or somebody that's here for the first time trying to figure out if this is actually for them, because it's really the same mindset.
If you're part-time, if you are having any success at all, I don't know what you're waiting on. I mean, honestly, get some things figured out. And if you are having some success and getting some deposits, helping some families, I would, as soon as you can, go full-time. If you are brand new, I guess this is for the part-time people too. You got to believe in yourself. I mean, I'm just telling you, there is something in me that I am doing this. And if you've got that spark in you, whatever that is, listen to it and learn, put your head down and go to work. Don't second guess the system, buy in, buy the leads. Don't see lead spend as a cost, see it as an investment. And it's a completely different mindset than I'm blowing my money rather than I'm building a business. So just believe in yourselves, guys. And I tell my team, go to school, get yourself educated, whatever sacrifice that means to you, make that sacrifice. So I guess that's all I got, Wayne. I believe in this to the core of my being. I mean, it's an awesome opportunity. I'm thankful for it.